Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to today's Radian ENGIE land training for asset managers session. The topics on the agenda for today are covering the payment approval process and specifically looking at exporting payment statement letters and performing payment validation. So um, the understanding is that asset managers are going to be called on to approve payments in the payment workflow so that those payments can be processed. So what does that mean? Within the NGSB Green IT platform, I'm going to navigate to Payment Manager, and this is where the development coordinators pick up payments and organize them for processing. So development coordinators are putting upcoming payments together into payment collections. And when they are ready, they push the payment collections to a status review. When this occurs, if you are in the payment approval scheme or the DOA scheme, your approval will be required for the payment to be approved and then processed. And by processed, I mean that the payment is going to be pushed from Green IT to SAP so that SAP can process the payment. First off, you should all have access to the software application platform. If you don't, please reach out. For whatever reason, if you don't, please reach out. Also, if you have any questions as we're going along, please feel free to interrupt and just let me know. Be happy to assist. All right. When a payment collection is moved to review, and then there are payments pending approval, if your approval is pending, you will receive an email alert for those payments, letting you know that action is required on your part. So please keep an eye out for those email alerts. And the alert will contain a URL in the email that will direct you to My Payment Approvals. This interface is unique per user. So I don't have anything in here because I'm logged in as myself and I'm not a payment approver. But this is the interface on which you would see payments that are pending your approval. So that email alert will contain a URL that directs you here. I'll just point out that at any time when you're logged in, you can also click on this dollar bill icon here, and this will also direct you to the same interface. And I see a question from Paul, so please.
Yeah, maybe this is what you just said, but how do I get back to so this is a unique link. I just used it yesterday. This is a unique link, and then I was like, how do I get back to all my other approvals or recent approvals or stuff that I've sent along? Where can I see that? Is that in process? So I guess that's these little in process draft review. Is that yes? Okay.
Right. So review, which project were you approving payments for?
Las Lomas.
Las Lomas. Okay, so let's see. Right. So those, what Yeah, we have Las Lomas here. So let's see. When you approved these all of these Las Lomas payments, then this particular collection moved from review to in process, and then those
Yep.
payments were pushed, and we can see that here.
And how
Uh,
did you get to this
but
right here that we're?
yeah, so these are the collection kind of status views.
Yep.
Um, so um, the all these payments are organized by the development coordinators and are put into these collections. That's kind of how they track them.
Yep.
We've moved as from the approver standpoint, we've kind of moved away from that collection view because you might have payments that are in a handful of different collections that you need to approve. And so to save you from clicking into each collection and making those approvals, we're just rolling up all of your pending approvals in this
Yep.
My Payment
Yep.
approvals. Now, that's a great question about, so how can you see, let me just check on something. I think we should have. All right,
Sorry, but it's
so
like you had the view that I get before I approve it. Also, where somewhere didn't you just have that out there? Sorry,
uh
maybe not. Okay.
was no, I
Oh,
don't.
that. Sorry. So you just clicked.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it bundled? Okay, that's what that
Right.
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can go.
Yeah,
So your your payments are either going to be in collections that are in review or in process.
I got it.
In process just means that all of the payments in that collection have been
Yep.
approved.
Yep.
Uh,
I got it now. I
as uh,
I didn't realize the link actually took me to the full group. I'm
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Okay, good. There's another, it's kind of related to your question. It's a great question. So there's another interface here, payment lookup. By default, this is blank, so you need to build a filter to find payments. But there's a filter option now, which is approved by all of the different approvers. So you can go to payment lookup, create a filter, and you can find everything that you approved. And then you can also see which collection it's in and when those payments were pushed to SAP. And
Great. Great.
there's,
Payment
yeah,
lookup. Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
payment lookup and filter. You can filter by approved by. You can further refine this if you only want to see uh, things that you approved and were paid, and then when were they paid, or what did you approve that hasn't been paid yet, and that's due in November, and for particular projects. So, there are lots of filter options here, but we have this new filter option for approved by, so you can specifically find payments that you approved. Okay, we'll point out that uh, for operations, there's um, a series of approvals that we looked at this briefly on our introductory call to the new approval scheme. But this is the admin on the for this. So for operations, uh, approvals, depending on the amount. So asset managers are going to be required. They're going to be the first approver for all payments. And then as for larger payments, there's going to be additional levels of review. So anything over 125,000 first goes to asset manager, then it's going to go to SID. If it's over 500,000, it's going to go to a manual, and then if it's over a million, it'll also go to Dave Carroll. So levels of review, everything is first going to go to asset managers for operations project payments. Okay, uh, so the idea is that most of the time you'll just be able to review your my payment approvals and make the approvals here. I'll also point out that So you'll receive an email alert when development coordinator moves a collection to review, and then those payments are pending your review. You receive an email alert as soon as that happens. You're also going to receive a daily email alert if you have any pending approvals. So if for whatever reason, something went into review yesterday and you just didn't have a chance to look at it yesterday, you'll get that email alert when that occurs. And then today, I think it's set for 9 o'clock Eastern time, you would also receive kind of a summary alert saying, hey, all these payments are still pending your approval. So there's a daily kind of reminder of payments that are pending your review as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about the approval interface and navigating around Payment Manager, how to find payments that that you were part of the approval for. You can use payment lookup. So you're the decision point for deciding whether you approve a payment. So how can you make an informed decision about whether you want to approve a payment? It's not available in my payment approvals right now, but we're working. That was requested on the last call, and so we have a modification in the queue as targeted for as high priority uh, to restore or to include the payment statement letter export from this same interface. So you'll just be able to get that here. Since we don't have that right now, I'll show you another way that we can get to that. So like if we're just looking at East Fork, for example. So here's a payment that's over 125,000. First, it's going to go to the project asset manager, Michael, and then after Michael approves, Sid's approval will be required here as well. But currently, this payment is pending Michael's approval, since Michael approves first. Um, there For now, you can do a statement letter export at the collection level. This would be for all payments, kind of like a bulk export. Right now, there's only one payment in this collection, but if there were multiple payments here, this is the bulk export for this collection. As I mentioned, we're working on including this letter export button per payment, and we're going to make that be available from the My Payment Approvals interface. So once we have that, you're not going to have to do all these extra steps. For right now, you could go to review to find where the payments are. You find the collection, and then you can do the letter export from here. And so if this, so why is this important? The statement letter is going to have some information that informs uh, how this payment was calculated. And so it creates a zip file. It's an Excel version or a PDF version. It's the same information in two different formats, and we get it in a zip. Uh, the the letter export at the collection level is going to include statement letters for all of the payments that are in the collection. The file names here correspond to the compliance ID number. This is a unique identifier for each payment. So if there were 10 payments in this collection, we would see it'd be 20 files, and this is zip, a PDF and an XLS, each named after the compliance ID. So there's only one here. I'm going to open up this statement letter and we'll take a look. Okay, so this is the statement letter that's been generated for this particular payment. The intent is that this letter can be distributed to the landowner and inform them of their payment. There's a brief detail description and detail section that's going to inform how this payment was calculated. So distribution is saying that there's one payee here receiving this payment, and they are receiving, what do we have here? Flat rate. I'm not sure why it says flat rate, but we can take a look at that. We've got acreage of 2.86 acres. So let's, and this is a production, the production payment amount. So this is for operations. I assume it's going to be based off of the generation at this project. So there are some details here that can assist with or that inform how this payment was calculated. So you can use the details here to validate this payment. That's one way that you can validate the payments. These details here are just a summary of some of the key data points from this agreement. They don't necessarily inform exactly how the payment was calculated. The intent here is that this is just a summary providing some reference for the landowner, but you can use this to validate the payment. So that's one way that you can get some more details about, you say, okay, I see a payment for $199,000. How did we get to $199,000? I want to validate this. So you can use the payment statement letter export to gain some additional perspective on that payment. Any questions so far? Okay, so the statement letter is just, this is a very brief description highlighting some of the key data points from the agreement. If you want more details about how this payment was calculated, we can go into the project entity and we can kind of take a deeper dive into this agreement. So from right now, I'm in this collection. I have a link to this entity. You today you have this link here. Let's see. I see. Oh, is this the same? Okay. All right. So let me just I'm gonna pick on Michael a little bit. So I'm gonna change my login to actually be Michael here. And let's go. So now if I go to my payment approvals, I can see the payments that are pending Michael's approval. So you're going to get a new button here, which is letter export. So we can do that export directly from this interface. If you
Hey,
need,
Clay,
yeah.
sorry. I saw in the download you also had an Excel sheet downloaded. Would that
Uh-huh.
sheet also have like a formula calculating?
No. Well, I can show you what it looks like. It's almost exactly the same as the PDF.
Oh, okay.
Don't need to look at mineral waiver requirements right now. This is the Excel. It's not It's not like an Excel breakdown with the formula of how the payment was created. It's basically the same data as the PDF. It's just
Okay.
in a different format.
So
Okay.
is there some, because like take a wind site, for example, there might be 120 landowners. Is there one
Yeah.
spreadsheet that kind of lays it out?
Right. So let's.
Sorry if I'm jumping ahead here.
That's fine. Let's take a look. Let's go into the entity, and I will try to answer your question there. That's a great question. Let's see if we can get there. Okay, so from this interface, I have there's this column entity here. So this is how we're organizing your land data, the project land entity in the parlance of the application. An entity represents it's like a folder that's bringing together the landowners, the land parcels, and the agreements, combining all of those and generating the payments. So let's go take a look at this entity. All right, so within the entity, I have some tabs that are available here. The first one is landowners. This is going to show me the breakdown of the landowners in the entity. In this particular instance, I've got three landowners are set up here, but only one of them is receiving payment has a payment percentage, 100%. So Solomon Forks Wind Land Holdings LLC is receiving 100% of the payments from any of the agreements that are in this entity. And then if we can go to APN master list at the entity, I can see there's one PID in here. This is 1357, and it's 2.86 acres. On the entity agreement tab, I can see the details about this particular agreement. So there's a substation easement. It's an original agreement. Its status is executed and recorded. It's on parcel 1357. Okay, one more tab to take a quick look at, and then we're going to dive in to the deep end. Okay, compliance. These are the payments that are in this entity, so that are related to the agreement that's in here. So we've got our agreement is substation easement. It's on parcel 1357. There's a payment due November 14th. This is the $199,000 payment. It's going to Solomon Forks Wind Land Holdings LLC. We can see there are future payments here as well. We can see that our future payments, they're all pending royalty calculations. So we can see that there are going to be future obligations here. We don't actually know what they're going to be because these payments are dependent on the royalty calculations. For this particular payment, we want to see what's going on here. So I can actually just click on this payment from this interface here, and it's going to take me into the agreement. And so now I'm in this project East Fork, I'm in this entity, and I'm looking in the substation easement agreement. These are the details within the application for this agreement. These are what we call payment terms or agreement terms. The agreement terms are actually the payments from the agreement. So there's a payment obligations specified by the agreement. They've been abstracted into the software to define all of the variables that are required for this payment. So you can see that the production payment amount, so this is the payment term name, and the payment that we're looking at is production payment amount for operations. So we see production payment amount. This is a royalty payment. It's from reference section 3.2 of the agreement. That it's making a calculation based off of 1.25 for the royalty, and it's a quarterly payment with a 44-day offset. It's got a 1% escalator that's escalating on the anniversary of the effective date of the agreement. This can get very complicated very quickly, and royalty payments are some of the more complicated payments that we have. A lot of payments on the development side are just going to be, it's a $7 per acre, and it's just, how many acres is it? And then that's going to be the payment. Royalty is going to be based on the production of the project and those figures being captured within the application so that the generation payments, the production payments can be calculated. But these are the variables that are going to generate the payment. So this defines what the payment is going to be. These payments can reference the acreage. So then take the acreage variable from the land parcel. It's going to generate payments for the landowners who are configured. Let's go back to the entity for a second. We're in this entity and we're looking at the landowners. There could be, multiple landowners here dividing up payments in whatever payment distribution that they have. This just happens to be a simple payment distribution. There's one corporate entity that's receiving all of the payments.
I think,
Yep.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Clay.
Yeah, please.
So the agreement that you're looking at specifically just has one landowner, and I can't remember. I used to have East Fork. I don't remember the frequency. That's related to the land underneath our substation.
Yeah.
In terms of like East Fork, I can't remember how many individual landowners it has, but let's say, every quarter I have to pay 100 landowners all at once. It's probably not feasible for us to go into each one as you're doing here and kind of look around. Is there a spreadsheet somewhere that'll say, okay, with this run, here's what the calculations are? Or because it's just not. I think on one this works if there's just one landowner or a couple landowners to maybe look at this, but when you've got 100 that you're trying to pay all at once, it gets a lot more difficult.
Understood. The approvals are per payment and the calculations are also per payment. So it's going to be unique per payment.
I think is Candace, maybe you don't know this, is Candace going to continue to attach a
right, yeah, so
a spread like a reconciliation or something for us in the event of those large 100+ people that are being paid? Because it's just not feasible, right, for asset managers to, especially if they've got maybe 9 sites and 900 landowners, to be looking at it like that.
I don't know if we have Candace on the call today, but that's
I can follow up with her. That might not be
I would defer to Candace on that if she's tracking that somehow. But understood that there are many payment obligations, and at asset manager, as your role as an asset manager is you are responsible for approving those payments, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I, speaking for myself only, I know I'm not going to approve, thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars payments if I can't see, if I don't have backup, and not having, again, it's just probably not feasible for asset managers to go into every single one in the detail that you're going in here to be able to effectuate payment in a timely manner, when oftentimes they're all kind of due on all our sites at one time. So But I'll follow up with her. I just didn't know if you were aware of anything in here like I was describing, where it's just like, here's all the landowner payments on East Fork that are, kind of in this tranche. So we can kind of quickly see, okay, yeah, they're all being escalated or whatever. Yep, matches up with the whatever. And then if we have any specific questions on those payments, we can go dig in deeper like you're doing here.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I'll follow up with her
Yeah.
on
I would,
that.
right. So I would
I-
say, yeah, go ahead.
I thought that last week you mentioned that would be possible, and there was a place where she could attach, something could be attached, and in some
Yeah.
cases.
So, right. So that's a good question. So
And
for
so I
example,
can clarify a little bit more what Amanda's asking for. We currently do get that from her, but in an email. So she can send that. She does send that around. She should be sending it. Hopefully she's sending it. I think she's sending it to all of us. She's sending it to me anyways. Her workbook and the backup basically for how
yeah.
she calculated those payments, and it'll include the bundle, the entire asset, right? So that's a lot easier for us to digest, as Amanda's saying. So if it's something that we have to work in through here versus that email, it'd be great to have her to have the ability to drop that workbook in here.
Okay. We do have, um, it is possible to link to files in ShareFile. Typically, this is done on an agreement level, not necessarily on a project level. So I don't, sorry? Oh, okay.
I didn't say
Thought
anything.
Yeah, and
thought I heard a question. Yep.
it might not be consistent because I know I just had an email where the only email I got was from Green IT saying you have these landowner payments.
Yeah.
And then I had to reach out to her
Oh.
separately and ask for some backup. So maybe it's just we need to firm up the process and make sure we either get it in email or somehow so that we can
Right.
appropriately approve it.
Yeah. If it's going to be at the agreement level, we have, which maybe it's not, but if it is, so if I'm looking at my payment approvals and I go to open up, I want to look at this Dakota Range substation easement. So now I'm in this project, I'm in this entity, I'm looking at the agreements. There's a couple of superseded agreements, and then there's an executed and recorded amendment number 2. There's a file picker here. And so typically this is going to include, like, this is the scanned version of the easement agreement. But Candace has the ability today, she could come in and pick, fine, what are we looking at? Dakota Range. We're looking at substation easements. She could grab, if her file is in share file, she can point to that from Green IT, and she can create that link here, and then that data would be associated to this agreement for your reference. I'm not sure if that's helpful or not, but that's one option that's in place today for doing that. There's
What about
also,
having another tab that just is like kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, payment summary or whatever, and then the only thing on that tab just points to a file and share file where she can upload stuff.
and would that be per payment, or you're
No,
saying
not
it's
per
per
payment.
asset? So,
Like maybe I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing.
right,
I'm not
yeah,
trying to create more work
sure,
for her,
uh-huh,
and we don't have to necessarily solve it on this call.
yeah,
It just it sounds like what we were kind of looking for maybe at this point isn't attached or in any way available directly through Green IT.
right,
So we just need to either figure out how to get it in there, or otherwise make sure she's forwarding us this
Yeah,
information.
I'm not right. So
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, while
Okay.
we're throwing out ideas, another option would be in the collection. So this is for Dakota Range. So Candace created this collection and then she moved it to review. She can add a note here and she can attach that file here. I'm doing this as Michael, but this can be a note and she can pin this in here and then that file would this is within Green IT, it is not share file. That attachment to say, oh, here's here's the workbook validating the payments that are in this collection. Well, here's the workbook attachment for your reference. And she could just throw that into the updates log here.
Yeah,
Just,
that might work.
Another option.
Yeah, that might work.
So when they submit the entry into Green IT and then it spits out that email to us, is this where they're doing it, right, in this view that you're showing right now?
Right. So Candace is taking
Collection?
this and she's, if the collection's at draft, she's moving it to approved for review.
And then it just automatically spits it out. Yeah, I mean,
right. And then for your interface here is saying, oh,
Yep.
you have these payments that
Gotcha.
are available. And this,
I
so
think
this
to
is not collection
streamline
specific.
it in the event that somebody's not around or Candace forgets to email somebody or we aren't available and our manager has to do the work. It would be great to have it here, just inside. I mean, this is where we're going to live ultimately and go to do the approvals. We can all take a vote, but I think, I'm getting an email. Sounds like Amanda isn't. Who knows what I think Candace is out or Paul can't approve his today. It's going to be easier for the next person than hunting down Candace's workbook or whoever's workbook. If it was just all put here, whoever that person that is the submitting the payment for approval. So is that something we can look at in trying to get included into the?
Yeah, I would just say that there's a little bit like we intentionally made this is only showing you payments. It's not showing you the collection. The Candace is making the collections. This updates log is specific to this collection.
Gotcha.
It could be in here, and then whoever could come find it as easily enough.
Well, we'll take it offline.
That's available today, right now. You could say, hey, Candace, when you move a collection from draft to review, please include add your attachment to the collection updates log.
Got it. And then we
can
get to that. Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
but that's slightly different. It's a couple clicks to get from my approvals to get to the collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Yeah, happy to, obviously it's great to work with the tools that we have available today. We're definitely open to considering any kind of refinements that would make, the idea is not to be creating more work for everyone, it's to be streamlining things. So, thanks, Paul. All right. Any other questions? All right, well, had some good questions. I think we covered a lot of ground today. Hope everyone is in a good position to be making their payment approvals. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to support. Should have our email. I'll just put it in the chat for everyone. And since that covered everything, I'm not seeing any other questions. I can give folks back 14 minutes of their time. So appreciate everyone's time today. Thanks a lot and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.